Don't Starve has to be one of the most innovative games I've ever played in my life. It's the first game in the Don't Starve series, which launched back in 2013 by a small Canadian development studio called Klei Entertainment. It was a small team back then, around 35 people. Interestingly enough, it was acquired by the Chinese giant Tencent. The series contains Don't Starve Together, and its various DLCs including Reign of Giants and Hamlet. And it's developed a cult following over the years. And for good reason. It's awesome. I'm going to be looking at the first Don't Starve game, which looks very different from its final iteration, but still showcases exactly what drew the fans in and why it developed such an active fan base in the first place. But it's important to note that this game looks very different from what you'll be playing with all the additional content. Enjoy. The game starts off with this incredible art style, reminiscent of Tim Burton's animations, like the Corpse Bride with its macabre elements. You're introduced to Wilson, the first player character, described as a gentleman scientist. This Wilson fellow doesn't seem to be very clever, and one day, while defeated over his repeated failures, a voice on the radio offers to help him by sharing some secret knowledge, only to trick him and transport him to a strange world where he needs to find a way back, and obviously not starve. This is a top-down survival game, and there's absolutely no hand-holding or tutorials or anything. There's you, your inventory, a confusing crafting menu, hunger, health, and sanity meters that you have to manage, a day-night cycle that changes the gameplay drastically, whether it's day or night. During the day, you can explore the map, gather supplies, food, build things. During the night, everything is pitch black, and you need to cower next to a light source before, for some reason, if you stay too long in the dark, something will kill you. Here's Wilson's attempt at surviving 100 days in this awful world. That's very cool humor, generating a keen sense of despair. As the new game begins, Wilson is teleported to this island by this sharp-dressed man called Maxwell, who just advises Wilson that he needs to grab something to eat before the night comes, and whoosh, he disappears. It's important to note that after putting 20 plus hours in this game, I still have no clue what the hell the story is about. But the idea is that you need to survive and thrive on this island. And if you ask Wilson what are the most important things he needs to gather on a deserted island, he'll tell you it's flowers, to make a garland. These things are important for two reasons. Number one, they make Wilson look fabulous. Number two, they fend off violent hallucinations that arise when sanity depletes. And by the first night, Wilson was already doing his ritualistic nightly dance and helping himself to some cooked carrots. And just like that, the night was survived. The next day, Wilson set about exploring this huge map. The island was full of set pieces to discover and resources that can make him a god of this land. Here's an irregularly placed shipwreck on land for some reason. Here's a first sighting of beefalo, whose manure is essential for farming and fertilizing crops. And here's Wilson collecting poop. There are also these things called wormholes that you can jump into and get transported to different parts of the map at the cost of your sanity. Sort of fast travel kind of things. By the third day, Wilson got to meet the adorable wildlife that you will have to slay for resources like spiderwebs and glands. You'll kill lots and lots of spiders in this game. Way too many spiders. Despite Wilson's self-proclaimed high levels of intellect, when he saw an unfortunate soul laying about in the swamp in a way that was clearly a trap, Wilson instantly fell for it, earning him his first death. In this game, if you die, that's it. You start from the beginning. It's called permadeath. Lucky for me, I found a touch zone while exploring that gives you a respawn. There are exactly 2 of those in the game. Now Wilson had to get back where he died and get his things. That was a very early death. That's not a good start. Fortunately, Wilson found the second respawn touchpoint and activated it, so he was safe for another death. But that was the final touchpoint, which worked really well because immediately Wilson was ambushed by hordes of killer bees, and there he goes. Second death. On the 8th day, Wilson happened upon a pig village with a pig king on his throne, and his loyal subjects engaging in a fight with the local friendly spiders. On the 9th day, while whispering to his beefalo friend, he encountered his first randomly generated hound attack, As if the game didn't throw enough shit at you, it will randomly spawn these hellhounds that track and try to kill Wilson every few days. Luckily, his beefalo friend was around to take care of them, a strategy which will work for Wilson for all upcoming hound attacks. On the 10th day, Chester was found, a loving companion who was a pumpkin chest dog hybrid creature. That fan favorite is actually a mobile chest that follows you around, Wilson's best friend in this godforsaken land. Before long, Wilson had finally started to accept his fate. He wasn't going anywhere, and it was time to start putting roots down, setting up his first base, planting berries for a renewable food source, putting in a science and alchemy machine for unlocking more buildings and structures that make the game easier, rabbit traps for renewable meat sources, planting a farm to grow vegetables from seeds. Wilson kept getting better, building a crockpot and cooking his first meatball meal. Hunger was not an issue anymore. Wilson started really getting into fishing. At that point, I started to think I was getting too good at this game. I fell into a comfortable rhythm of rabbit hunting, extreme fishing while all frogs are trying to kill me, extreme manure collection, professional dog racing, and expanding my thriving base. And repeat, while occasionally chasing away the night terrors. Life was so good here that Wilson started keeping live rabbits and experimenting with the recipes, like fish tacos. The world was Wilson's oyster, at least this one was. He could see himself settling down here. The beefalo whisperer was even able to shave beefalo as they slept for their wool, as winter was approaching. What a legend. With the arrival of the dreaded winter, Wilson had to manage his heat levels in addition to his hunger, health, and sanity, which adds another entry to the list of shit that's trying to kill you in this world, the weather. Thankfully, Wilson's glorious beard provided heat insulation. While exploring on his 30th day, the brave and intrepid Wilson came across an interesting chess set piece that immediately and without provocation attacked him. The ensuing fight ended up with Wilson destroying the rook and grabbing the vital gear piece. That gear piece allowed Wilson to become the first proud owner of an icebox on the island. That icebox allowed him to store his food and ingredients to keep them from spoiling. As winter was ending, Wilson had an air of invincibility about him. The worst was over. The world was his and his alone. 34 days in, Wilson had managed to conquer topside. It was time to make a miner's hat and explore the depths of this world. The underground. I love these hilarious loading screens. Herding Wilson's beard. It does make me wonder, how big is this game? Is that a new map? It was a completely new map. The cave system was overwhelming. There was no day-night cycle or freezing from winter, but it was always dark and full of completely new assets. But Wilson was unafraid though. He was, after all, the ruler of the... Oh. And he's dead. You know what, Wilson? Fuck you. Alright, forget Wilson. We've unlocked a new player character, Wendy, who's far superior to Wilson. I mean, she already has a flower. Wendy quickly crafts the obligatory garland and immediately starts killing spiders. Wendy's a badass. Fuck Wilson. We don't care about him anymore. Wendy encounters a portal, which I decided was too much game at the moment, and might revisit later. Way smarter than he who shall not be named, Wendy was able to use tentacles to kill her first hound attack, which earned her the nickname Tentacle Whisperer. Before long, she had managed to outline the whole map, and she even had a pet bird that she fed monster meat to and got an endless supply of fresh eggs. She turned out to be a better cook too, making specialty dishes such as pierogies. And when it came to caves, Wendy was comfortable in the dark. Exploring was second nature to her, quickly uncovering the very strangely shaped map. Unfortunately, it wasn't all smooth sailing. I happened upon this chasm in the floor which spawned my first encounter with a nightmare creature that killed the promising Wendy. That's okay, we have a respawn. Except it wasn't okay, because it was winter and Wendy immediately started freezing to death. She didn't have any winter clothes, but she did make a mad dash towards the base, saving herself in the nick of time. The ever-resilient Wendy started clawing her way back to the game. Slowly but surely, despite freezing temperatures, painstakingly gathering resources in the harsh weather. Wendy is an icon of resistance, a beacon of Not a problem, Wendy, we have another respawn. Hound attack, Wendy is dead. Now the ghost appears and gets rid of the hounds. I hate this game. Alright, no problem. Third time's the charm. We're going to be playing as the librarian Wickerbottom, who knows many things. Yeah, fuck you, Maxwell. Garland, looking fabulous. Wickerbottom is the best character. I already don't remember Wendy. She knows how to craft everything without a science machine. This makes early game really easy. This absolute monster just kept going and exploring through the night, burning down whole forests for light. This woman was ruthless. She was also old and wise, taking time to contemplate the meaning of life. Her wisdom allowed her a special connection with the natives, taking all of their food unopposed. By the 12th day, Wickerbottom had already discovered the map. She had the ability to raise plants through her knowledge of book plant magic. I mean, where have you been all my life, Wickerbottom? We're definitely beating this game. She loses her sanity very quickly though, which allowed me access to how the game should really be played. Rabbits turned into these nightmare rabbits that gave monster meat nightmare fuel instead of regular meat. Wickerbottom found these gems that allowed her to create the Prestidigitator, which opened access to crafting magical items. Wickerbottom easily explored the caves too, literally unstoppable. Damn it. Aw shit, it's winter again. Mad dash for survival for Wickerbottom. Burn everything down. Yes, you made it. Fortunately, winter was ending. I found out these giant rabbits are vegan and will kill Wickerbottom if she's carrying meat. With this knowledge, I get my shit back. No meat, no problem. Oh shit, I picked up meatballs. Oh, she's gone. Not a problem. Wickerbottom has a final respawn. Alright, no accidents this time. After her cave experience, Wickerbottom started getting dark. She saw herself as a witch and decided to double down on learning the magic part of the game. So, she set off digging up graves for magic gems, fully embracing her dark side by slaughtering pigs and beefaloes for meat, right in front of their families. She created a meat effigy to resurrect her on her death, and built a shadow manipulator to further her magic agenda. A monster meat and nightmare fuel farm followed as Wickerbottom finally succumbed to her insanity. She also solved the darkness problem by crafting a nightlight that uses nightmare fuel from the fuel farm at a cost of her depleted sanity. Wickerbottom fully embraced her immortality, experimenting with resurrection through forbidden magic, dying and always coming back for her shit. This fire-wielding menace had become the island's worst nightmare, not caring who she hurts in the crossfire. Rest in peace, Chester. She eventually created the Dark Sword and started slaying nightmare creatures themselves with it. She thought herself invincible with her life-giving amulet, only to succumb to frost after surviving for almost 60 days. This game is dumb.